works for more than 30 fucking seconds. Oh, shit's so annoying. Whatever, good enough. I just want to get this in and put out instead of continuously messing with damn Streamlabs. How annoying. Alright, so I'll just jump into it. I don't want to waste y'all's time too much. Most of you know it's all over my channel, but if you don't, I am a 100% service-connected retired combat veteran. I served in the United States Army from 04 to 2009. I served in Iraq and Baghdad from 05 to 07. Some other parts in the Middle East, but mostly Iraq and Baghdad. The reason I'm making this video this morning is because I feel like I can no longer stay quiet about the matter. I don't feel it's about politics anymore or about difference of opinion or any of that. I took my job very seriously and I paid a heavy price. My life will never be the same because of my service, and I don't regret that. I wouldn't change things even if I could. It made me who I am. But what I will say is, no matter what was going on over there, I tried to ignore the politics of the war and the fight and just do what I know to be right. As a human being, as a decent person, as an American, I wanted to give everybody else the opportunity of freedom that I have and I grew up with, that we used to have. I used to be proud of our government and, for the most part, proud of what we did around the world and helping people and trying to be the good guys. I know it wasn't always that way, and there's always been some corruption and shit. And I mean, it is what it is. But things have slowly been getting worse, deteriorating further and further. Like I said, I can sit down and have debate over policies, and we can talk about the differences of opinions, and you might even change my mind on some things if you have the facts on your side. I try to be as informed as I can. And one of the things I do know is the Constitution. I swore an oath to that document. I swore my life to that document, and I was prepared to give my life for that document and for our freedoms. I know people that did pay the ultimate price. People that paid more than I did. People not just that I served with, but in the past. You know, shit like what we did in World War II, alongside the Allies. If it weren't for us all coming together, you know, we'd live in a terrible, different world of fascism. Unfortunately, fascism is making its rise again. And at this point, I really don't care if you think that's a bad take or a bad opinion. Reality is reality, and facts are facts. And the current dictator wannabe, quote-unquote, president of the United States, Donald Trump, has illegally activated the National Guard and, furthermore, even worse, illegally activated 500 active duty Marines without the consent of the California governor or the mayor, which is, in order to throw the Insurrection Act, is supposed to have those exact things. But he doesn't. And his excuse and reasoning for this is simply that Gavin Newsom or whoever is incompetent. Well, guess what? That means fucking nothing. And I don't fucking care if you think he's incompetent. I think Trump's fucking incompetent. But that doesn't mean anything in terms of law and order. It doesn't mean anything in the terms of three co-equal branches of government that are supposed to provide checks and balances on one another. It's just simply him making up his assertion and then trying to pretend like it means anything. And he's also said that he will put the military everywhere. He plans on putting it everywhere that these protests keep popping up, which the majority of were peaceful and nonviolent prior to the activation of the National Guard and now those Marines. And no sooner than they got there, before they even hit the ground, Trump was claiming that they had the situation solved. Like, the dude just lies nonstop. And you can say, oh, presidents lie, whatever. I mean, that's true to an extent, but this is nothing like we've ever seen. I mean, I can't even entertain this as an argument anymore. The dude is such a clear-cut fascist, dictator wannabe, breaking so many laws and just changing and co-opting history from what we all know it to be, destroying our soft power and global position on the world that will destroy our economy and have an effect for generations to come. Our kids and our kids' grandkids and so on are going to be dealing with this mess if we even get out of it at this point. Two branches of our government have now been taken over and serve the king wannabe Donald Trump and his every whim, regardless of how illegal, how egregious, how disgusting it is. And I remember when Obama was president, when Biden was president, all these people used to talk about FEMA camps and how Obama was going to round all these people up and take away your freedoms and fucking all kinds of just crazy, stupid shit. But when in reality this stuff actually starts happening, when Donald Trump does it, all you that support him just turn off your fucking morals, I guess, or believe everything. The only thing that is true is what comes out of his mouth. And I can't for the life of me understand why it is you think a billionaire, rich, racist man who's been racist his whole life, I mean, just look at any of Donald Trump's history in business and how he got started. Like I said, this isn't even worth arguing anymore. I don't even know why I'm going to try. Anybody that still is supporting him is either willfully ignorant or disgustingly fascist. Donald Trump validates these people's hate, and I guess they like it that much. Just like the immigrant situation, he was only supposed to go after the criminals and the bad people. Well, you know, I can agree, all criminals are bad. If you break the law, if you're violent, you hurt people, fine, you get to pay the consequences, you get to go to prison. It's no different than anybody else, unless you're Donald Trump or people who insurrected the Capitol for him, then they, of course, got pardons. Well, you can look and see what people in LA, cops trampling protesters with horses, while beating them with sticks, less than lethal rounds. Do any of you know what the fuck a less lethal round is? Or what it feels like to be hit by one? As a scout in the Army, when I was deployed in Baghdad, we had less than lethal rounds that were issued to some of us in order to use as warning shots and de-escalatory measures so we don't have to take someone's life necessarily. In order to deploy these weapons against a population, we had to be hit with them ourselves. That means beanbag rounds, rubber bullets, pepper balls, tasers, whatever they issued to us, we had to go into a training session to not only learn how to properly use this equipment, but have it used on us so that we knew what we were putting people through. And then, let me tell you something about less lethal means just that. Less than lethal, barely. You get hit with some of that shit can easily kill you. One of the Nerf balls that comes out of a 40mm launcher off of an M4 or an M16 has enough power to go through a car windshield. A beanbag can break ribs. If it hits you in the face or in the throat or something like that, you're gonna die, or you'll be permanently maimed for the rest of your life. And I don't care what your opinion is on deporting people if they're illegal or violent. Like I said, I'm already for jailing those people and deporting violent people. But this raiding of schools, elementary schools during a graduation, having parents deported because they're not legal, leaving their legal children with nobody to take care of them, nobody to watch for them, literally screaming and crying in the arms of teachers or caretakers while their parents are hauled away, and they will never know if they get to see them again. And maybe that sounds good to you, and if it does, you're a fascist. Just own it. Don't pretend to be American. Don't pretend to love the Constitution. Because the Constitution is very clear about this and due process. This disappearing people to El Salvador, migrants, and he wants to do homegrown terrorists or criminals, he calls, from the United States too, and extrajudicially disappear them to a prison in El Salvador, never to be seen or heard from again, just tortured and whatever. That is not American. And the Constitution says every person, not every citizen, not every, it is very, very specific. Every person on United States soil gets habeas corpus, they get due process rights. You don't just get to be accused of something and have it treated as if it's true with no judicial process, no evidence, no hearing, no nothing. And that's what he's doing. Thankfully, some of those, he was even willing to ignore the Supreme Court's orders to bring people like Omar Abrego Garcia back. They finally brought him back, but as soon as they did, they charged him with human trafficking and a bullshit case from 2016 that has no evidence. Because if they, let's be honest, if they did, they would have brought that up to use him to deport. But they didn't. Like, this is just a fucking game to this rich asshole, and he wants to be a dictator, and he has either plans for him or his kids to all run this new dynasty of America for the benefit of rich people, and only rich people. He's destroyed our economy, and in so many different ways. The farmers are screwed. So many red states are screwed and going to go bankrupt. He wants to send the National Guard or active duty soldiers to every blue city in America. And that soon might be my city. I live in a pretty big city surrounded by military bases. And here in Colorado Springs. And if you don't think that he is not fucking chomping at the bit to get those protests in LA violent so that he can do this elsewhere to distract from his failures, from his lawlessness, from all of it. How naive can you be? He's told more lies than any other person in history. He's broken more laws than probably any president in history. He's a convicted felon, a convicted rapist. He has bragged about being pals with Jeffrey Epstein. He's bragged about going into locker rooms of little girls, 16-year-old girls and younger, for their pageants so he can oogle and basically sexually harass these young children, these teenagers. But you all care about life and trans people because they're the predators, right? Jesus fucking Christ, people. Wake up, America, before there is nothing left. It's either going to get incredibly violent in order to have to change this shit, or because he's made it violent by deploying his thugs and fucking fascists that get off on hurting people. They get off on the power. And they'll take it all over. I can only hope that the resistance, the protests, they wake America up. This man does not have you in his best interest. He doesn't have this country in his best interest, unless this country is serving him or his family. It's all about him. And you don't even need to be smart. You don't even need to look far to see it. You don't even have to be a fucking liberal, Democrat, whatever. What happened to the Republican Party? The supposed party of freedom, the supposed party of rights, the supposed party of states' rights. When it's only states' rights when it's abortion and caring about what's going on in people's fucking bedrooms. It's only states' rights when they want to destroy the Department of Education and teach your fucking children an alternate fucking history about the United States and how great it's always been. The United States is great, but we've done a lot of terrible things. That's why it's been called an experiment. That's why it's always been to form a more perfect fucking union. Because we have atrocities in our past. We enslaved people. We stole land. We tortured people. Come on. Anybody not honest about that just lives in their own fucking reality. That doesn't mean